Welcome to the Rock is George podcast. I'm your host, George Dionne. Thank you for tuning in. Be sure to hit like, follow, or subscribe on the platform that you're listening to us on. You can also check out my work at the loudest.com on the planet, knac.com, for exclusive hard rock and heavy metal interviews, live show coverage, album reviews, and more. My guests for episode 181 are Patrick Queenan, PAUL GAUGHRAN, and CRAIG PEURA of the stoner rock act Sundrifter. Sundrifter just released their third studio album, An Earlier Time, on February 16th through Small Stone Reocrds. It's a fantastic album worth checking out. And here's Patrick, Paul, and Craig to tell you more about it. If I knew absolutely nothing about Sundrifter, how would you describe the band's music to me?
Just heavy with soaring eagle vocals.
I'd say space grunge.
Yeah, space grunge is a pretty good accurate statement there. We got spacey elements with like that 90s grunge influence with Soundgarden, Nirvana.
90s space grunge with soaring vocals.
Yeah.
America.
I think a lot of people refer to you as desert rock or stoner rock as well. The band's been around since 2015. How did it all come together?
It started actually with me and Craig. We met at UMass Lowell. We actually, all three of us went to UMass Lowell. We're a little different grades or years, but we kind of met there through mutual friends. Me and Craig kind of got together and we started playing in a type of heavy blues or just blues rock type of music. And we eventually kind of got darker and heavier. And we wrote that album, Not Coming Back, which kind of was a little bit of a transition for us. And then once we put that out, our engineer, Dan Schwartz at the time, he played bass on the record. And then we were like, we need a bass player. And through another mutual friend, we found Paul, and he was down to play. So we've had him ever since.
That's awesome. Did you guys ever, I know you said your sound was different when you started out, but have you guys ever played in other bands prior to forming Sundrifter?
Yeah.
Individually, yes. Very different bands.
Yep.
Two very different things.
I grew up a lot in the punk hardcore scene here in Boston. And I was also into a lot of classic rock and heavy rock. And then after that, I kind of got into heavy stoner doom music and desert rock and the Doors and Queens of the Stone Age. And it's kind of been my progression, but
yeah, I have more experience as a classical singer and also pop charts. I used to do wedding singing. I used to do a lot of proper pop hits sort of vibe. So that's what I bring to the table.
Yeah, I was in a math rock band before I was in Sundrifter, and this fits the bill as far as a lot of music I'm interested in. But I've always tried to be able to play anything and be able to move between genres, I guess, just for the sake of having the tools in your box to be able to do whatever.
Now, being from Massachusetts myself, I know that people outside of Massachusetts don't really know anything outside of Boston, but are you guys really from Boston or some outside area that people really wouldn't recognize if you said you were from there?
I kind of grew up on the North Shore, I guess. Me and Craig was on the North Shore. Paul is the only one who's living in the city. We practice in Malden, which is a little bit of a suburb outside of the Boston city. And a lot of shows, we got a lot of Cambridge and Somerville. And it's all kind of that big area. It's just a lot of it's greater Boston. It's all kind of a big clumped community.
I'm from the Cape Cod area, and then just as you get outside of Cape Cod, they still try to call themselves Cape Cod. So Wareham, and then Carver, and then Rochester, they have to say they're part of Cape
They want to be.
Yeah. Also, he's from the South Shore.
Yeah, I'm Pembroke, but all my family's from Roxbury, Dorchester, Brookline originally, moved to the South Shore. Now I'm back in the city.
Yeah, I think if you build yourself from Pembroke, that people would be like, where?
Yeah.
It's halfway
Right,
between
right.
Cape Cod and Boston.
It's
The exact halfway point.
Right. Everything's like a half an hour from everywhere else.
That's right. Sundrifter has a new album coming out tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
It's called An Earlier Time. It's your third studio album. Comes out on Small Stone Reocrds. Been a little while since we heard from you guys. Your last album was Visitations in 2018. Besides a worldwide shutdown, was there anything else that delayed the release of this album?
Nope, that was it.
The after effects of the worldwide
Yeah.
shutdown.
Yeah.
That was a big part.
That was, we had drums tracked. We were just about to start getting going with the rest, and that was it. You can't do anything. You can't ask people to risk their lives to be in sessions
and like
things.
And having our like newest material, and we wanted to release it as soon as possible, but with the cancellation of live music and being unsure, we kind of shelved it and wanted to wait till we could promote the album instead of like just putting it out there. I felt like a lot of bands that release music during that time, it just kind of didn't really go too far, or as far as it could have gone without touring, So saving it for when things were kind of more back to normal.
It's sort of a catch-22 in that situation because, when you finally release it, you've been sitting on it for some time and you're like, man, these songs are really old to me.
Yeah, 100%.
Feels that way.
Yep.
I feel like looking at the track listing for An Earlier Time that this is set up as a concept album, but listening to it isn't a concept album, correct?
I'd say so. Yeah.
There's a little bit there's some connections and songs kind of flow into each other, and but it all kind of comes together at the end. We never intentionally planned for it that way, but sometimes it just kind of lends itself to it. Then An Earlier Time concept didn't come till towards the end. It wasn't like we were trying to write this as like an earlier time, but it just kind of happened, and then the way we write songs and a dynamic flowing up and down. It's not just rock song after rock song. So I don't know, sometimes that can lend itself to the idea of it being a concept album or like a trip or a journey. Each song is kind of a new chapter in a movie,
Every time we end up clumping songs together for a record, they homogenize a little bit. Like kind of some of the themes seep into other songs that might not have had that feel about them before, but once they're put together as a collective, they sound more like they belong together than they would have, at the start.
You released the opening track Limitless as a promotional video /single. So why don't you tell me a little bit about the meaning behind the song?
Limitless is just about not waiting around, trying to find your top level, your top place that you can imagine, and it's just a rocket ship to the moon kind of song. Like you just hopefully gets you fired up to get going.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I remember Craig sending the riff, that first riff on a audio voice memo file, and being like, oh, that's like, it's very spacey to me, and I kind of had this idea for that drum intro beat, and then just kind of, sometimes when we put these songs and we start playing them, they just line up and they just write themselves, and just heavy epic space jams, and that kind of set the tone for the record. And then when we do that, once we get the tone set, then it's kind of like the family kind of comes, the other songs that can be a part of that epic space jam family.
At about the midway point, you have a song called Begin Again. It sort of deals with overcoming negative self-talk. We all kind of deal with something like that, and probably a lot during the pandemic. So if you kind of want to expand a little bit on the meaning of that song for you guys.
Yeah, it really ties into the whole album. Everyone has doubts every day, has negative thoughts if they're not even close to where they want to be, and it's a constant pain for some, and for me it was, especially having our live performances taken away from the pandemic, and it can really mess with you if you feel like you belong somewhere and you are working so hard to be in a spot to perform, and then you have to go do regular jobs or things that aren't the best. It can be painful, especially for artist types, and it just ties into the whole thing with the pandemic again, just, you know, beginning again, starting fresh, getting a chance to get back at it.
It's about flipping the record over too.
And it's about flipping the record over. Yes.
I kind of like too how like the songs, they like on the outside package on the cover of the album, it's this kind of space alien thing, ancient monolithic you know, concept, but the lyrics kind of delve deeper into like personal, you know, there's meant kind of like a lot of layers to the album itself, the meanings, the vibes, and then there's like kind of like deeper things you can get into. And but yeah, there's a lot of different layers to it and different meanings and that kind of a thing. So I love that.
Are you planning on releasing another video / single?
And at the moment we have nothing. We're just kind of like waiting for this new album to drop, and more videos could definitely come. Absolutely. More content and all kinds of little, you know, clips and different things like that. We'll definitely keep the promotional train running.
You worked with producer Dan Schwartz. He's actually returned to producing with the group. He works at a Futura Productions in Roslindale. What does he bring to the table that you guys were like, hey, we need him back here?
He's a creative wizard of ultimate just showdown and performance. My tracking sessions, speaking for me, are very quick. I'm shooting lasers. I'm doing takes. His ability to just take things, put them in, arrange them, move on to the next, like that process is very quick, and that's reflective of our writing process in general. We just go when it works. We're onto this. We're onto that. Generally, you know, I know you've worked with bands a lot. Like generally, the songs that you have to really change the key, change this, add a second verse. This has got to be long. By the time you're done with it, you don't want to do it anymore. It's the worst. But the songs that are just coming at you fast and you're excited about it, that whole process translates into Dan in the studio, and just the confidence he has to quickly move through sessions and grab good takes is just next to none.
Yeah, he's very phenomenal at what he does. We went to UMass. He's another UMass Lowell alumni. We met him there. Me and him, we were in the similar sound recording classes, and so we kind of knew like his potential and what he does. And then him working at Futura, which is like a converted Masonic temple into an orchestral recording studio. He was doing that as an internship, and he was like, you know, this would be a fantastic room to track rock drums in or metal drums in, because the room was just so big, and we could place microphones like way in the back and capture the natural reverb of the room. And but then like also just his ability to like take our songs and put them into space almost, with his like synthesizers and his processing and editing and mixing is just top notch. He plays in a band called Astronoid, and they're very space influenced too. So they're, you know, that I kind of like his touch kind of like onto our thing has just been amazing every time.
Paul, what do you think about working with Dan?
He's a really competent engineer. He's got a really good ear, and he's almost distressingly calm.
Yes.
He's very relaxed at all times, which really leads to like pretty efficient flow in terms of setting up and laying down whatever we're going to do at a certain point in time. He makes everything efficient, and also makes it not the most inconceivable thing that if you did need to track something else, you kind of know what you're going for immediately after. We don't really have the ability to do the you know, like the classic 70s, you know, like post up in a studio for a month and spend all day grinding out take after take after take and nitpicking it, you know. So his style and skills are super conducive to like us getting stuff done.
An Earlier Time is your second album for Small Stone Reocrds. How did you end up signing a deal with them?
We put out Not Coming Back, and that kind of got us like into like the live music scene in Boston. We started playing shows, and then we wanted to put out another album, and you know, we put Visitations out, self-released it, and we kind of just put it out there. Some people kind of caught it up, and some reviews were put out, and some YouTube channels picked it up and put it up, and a lot of people started to influx towards our Bandcamp and emailing us saying, "Hey, we want the vinyl records. Where can we get the vinyl?" And we just didn't, we didn't have it at the time, but soon after, Scott hit us up and was like, "I can do the vinyl for you," and he's been great, and he gets the finest in fuzz, and we love him.
Fantastic record label. It makes sense that you guys signed with them. They're known for that fuzziness, doom rock, stoner rock kind of thing. Speaking of vinyl, you guys got some great ones with this album. You got the Gold Rush vinyl. Looks fantastic. Gold Rush made the vinyls. They made them look fantastic. You got purple, you got blue. They look exciting, bright. Were you guys able to pick the colors? Is this something that the label deals with?
Yeah, I mean the artwork on the cover there, just by Bronca Studio. He used the purple and blues. I thought, like, we kind of went through some different color options, and I thought we all kind of loved the purple and the blue. And then when we got to the point of picking the color for the vinyl, I thought, like, Scott loved the blue, and we kind of liked the purple, and that was the colors of the album, so we did both.
You mentioned Bronca Studios doing the cover of the album. Is that somebody that Small Stone works with regularly? Because I feel like the album covers on their label kind of have that vibe to them.
Yeah, I think a few bands have used their artwork. I think Robots of the Ancient World has used their Broncos. Yes, there they are. Label mates right there. Yeah, and I think I've just always admired his work too, and thought his aesthetic, and especially going back to him after visitations, it kind of makes that link from makes the two kind of connect a little bit in certain ways and keep the branding going.
I think the album cover will look great on t-shirts. You guys doing that?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
I saw you did your first show 2024 at Widowmaker Brewery. I've been to the brewery. I'm not sure where they put bands in there, but how did it go?
It was the best show ever. We had the best time
Awesome
in the whole world.
The room is awesome. I think it got all
good.
Renovated. Like they just recently renovated it.
All right,
There is a physical stage with a proper, established PA setup.
Yep.
High ceiling. We had a liquid light show going in the background. A lot of space to work with there too.
Yeah, dreads.
Looks good. Felt good. Room sounds good too. So
yeah,
can't complain.
Couple hundred people in there. Place is packed out. There's a separate room in the back for the band. I was back there just chilling all night, yipping at everyone. I like to post pictures of everyone's gear on my Instagram, a little Craig rundown type of style. So I don't know. I just can't get enough of that stuff. So it was like the best show we've had.
very fun night.
Wicked fun.
And those that don't know Widowmaker Brewery, they're very rock and metal centric beer company. They're very into Slayer over there, from what I understand. And
Barb Slayer.
They got a couple of different beers named after rock bands. So it makes sense they're doing live shows now.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they were doing a lot of them off their loading dock. When they first started doing that, they were doing a lot of loading dock stuff. And we've done some shows with Bone Up Brewery, RIP. They were a great local brewery that was having some shows, and they eventually kind of got the boot, but they're Bone Up forever. And we were playing their loading dock for like all summer. So that rules.
They need a bigger location, quite honestly. That location's too small for them.
Absolutely.
They need Night Shift to move out and build some big conglomerate somewhere else.
There you go.
There you go.
So what does future live performances look like for you guys?
We got a little weekender coming up. It's kind of a little bit announced, but we're going to do a little weekend run with a band called the Stone Eye. Might hit some dates that'll be announced pretty soon. We're going to have a release show in Medford at a very new establishment called Deep Cuts. We'll be announcing that one tomorrow on February 16th. But we're also having Swamp Head on that show along with Cortez. Be a great time. That's on March 23rd. And then we have some local regional dates through the spring and summer, and maybe a little bit further on the East Coast come the summertime. But But yeah, we're looking to play a lot.
Awesome. Love Cortez. I think they've played the same brewery circuit you guys have played.
Yes.
What are the chances of getting a beer collaboration with these places? Come on now. You got the perfect
Right.
artwork. You got the names, everything.
Bone Up did do a beer for us, Hazy Space Jam. They did that one for us. South County Brewery in Fawn Grove, Pennsylvania did a Sundrifter double IPA. But we're always looking to collab.
Are any of you working in other bands or on other projects outside of this one?
Yeah, I think I might be the only one right now, but again, talking about the versatile kind of thing, I'm just trying to pick up like, backing guy gigs for stuff, like jazz brunches, singer-songwriter accompaniment and stuff like that. Definitely nothing of the Sundrifter ilk, but I feel like it'd be a little strange to be, in a niche genre and then in multiple bands within that niche genre. It's like a non-competition clause.
I think Patrick's supposed to be into like 10 bands because isn't the drummer always in 10 bands?
I know, right? There was a time where I was in another sharing the drums with another band, but this is my primary focus, and it's just enough that takes up my headspace already.
So since you've kind of been sitting on these songs for a little while, are you guys? I know the album comes out tomorrow, and not many people listen to it yet. But are you penning the next one?
Yeah. Actually, we just were.
Yeah. 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, practicing. We have a whole bunch of new stuff, new ideas, new riffs, new kind of song ideas that definitely in the works, and hopefully pending another global shutdown, we'll get this one a lot sooner.
Absolutely. Well, those are all the questions I have for you tonight. The latest or newest Sundrifter album is An Earlier Time. It will be out by the time this interview goes up. It's out through Small Stone Reocrds. Fantastic album. I'm looking forward to getting my vinyl copy, and I want to thank all three of you for coming on the podcast tonight and telling me more about it.
Thank you.
Thanks,
George.
Once again, I want to thank Patrick, Paul, and Craig of Sundrifter for coming on the Rock is George podcast. Be sure to check out their latest album, An Earlier Time, out now through Small Stone Reocrds. Head over to your favorite music streaming platform, take a listen to the album. If you like what you hear, buy a physical copy, support the artist. For all things Sundrifter, head over to their official website, sundrifterband.com. I also want to thank Liz Ciavarella Brenner at Earsplit PR and Small Stone Reocrds for making this interview possible. You've been great. I've been George Dionne. Discover your next favorite artist on the Rock is George podcast.